Yeah, 59 minutes, 49 minutes to get this done.
Wait, would it be funny if I like walked into...
You and the
Africa. Hello, I cannot talk very long. I have to do a video right now. Okay, I will. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Why are we here today? Why is it a company? Where did it come from?
From you, sort of.
If you want to point the finger, like really, it is Sam's fault.
Sam got you into airsoft.
Sam did get me into airsoft.
Which stands to reason, because it's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
100%.
13 years ago, he showed me this thing called airsoft, and I thought it was incredibly stupid.
Yeah, I've never been more brain dead since I've played airsoft. Especially when we do these videos, just absolutely lose my mind behind camera. If there was a blooper reel, it would probably be hilarious, but I don't think it's safe for public consumption.
It was actually really cool, something we could do together.
How did you find airsoft and how did you get into it?
I was in 7th grade, towards the second semester of middle school. I met this dude named Sam, who is now one of my lifelong best friends. He took me out to this place called Op 31 back in 2014 with a couple of people. Back then, airsoft wasn't as extensive and as big as it is now, so there was maybe like 10 or 15 people max at this field. I don't know, I just got hooked. Love of guns, and especially video games at that age, like it just sucked me in.
I was their ride. I mean, that's kind of how it started. He told me about this thing, and we actually went to the original Op 31. It was the first time we went up there, and I was standing out, and I was looking, and there's other dads just kind of standing out there. I'm like, do you guys like this? And I'm just looking, I'm looking around. I'm like, this is kind of stupid, right? And they're like, yeah, but the kids like it. And I'm like, oh, all right. And I'm just kind of looking around. Day was over, and I was like, what'd you think? And he was shot. He was asleep within 3 minutes of getting back in the car. Kept on talking about it. Spent a lot of time up at Bass Pro buying guns, zombie hunter springers and what have you.
Air splat springers.
When we finally went back, what became the new Op 31 was just kind of hanging out there, and ended up getting the MP5 off Craigslist. Ended up being broken. Well, I thought it was broken. Years later, I realized it was just a dead battery. Dead serious. Pull the trigger. It's like, I thought it was locked up, so I thought I could open this. That was an experience. Yeah, the gearbox seemed like it was stuck, so I pried it open.
You almost took my dome off.
Gears, springs, all over the place, all over the living room.
Yeah, you cracked it open, and I was standing right next to it, and it went shoo, like almost left a canoe in my head.
Figured out how to, after hours and hours and hours, many YouTube videos later, figured out how to put it back together. Made my own battery for it. I think it looked like a pipe bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, bought my own cells, made my own battery, the whole thing. Went out wearing my BDUs. From when I was in the Army.
The Walmart iPro, the non-rated iPro.
I still have, I think somewhere I still have the vented iPro that I wore.
Yeah.
Nothing terrible about that idea at all. What's really cool is when they get hit and the metal inside flakes the paint off right into your eyeball.
Gets right into your eye and feels really nice.
Yeah. Who needs eyes, I say. You just bring all the boys up, and they didn't do lunch up there, so I would make lunch for us. There were kids that parents would drop them off, they were just eating like chips or whatever. I'm like, it's not sustainable, so I would hot dogs for everybody else. And
grill.
Yeah, a little green
propane grill.
little green, had to pump it up, Coleman grill. Started selling out Spaz. I started helping him out because John Logan, at the same time, we started helping out on the field to help him run games. Spaz started, he wanted to go to Tennessee and open up in Tennessee.
Yep, that was 2016.
Was it that quick? Really?
Yeah.
It happened that quick, huh? He would go up and come back and go up and come back, and then the coming back started getting further and further apart. I can't keep doing this for free. And he's like, okay, well, then the field's yours. It's like, oh, wait, what now? And right about the same time is when I started 19 Kilo Airsoft. Tiny, Alex Pasco, he started Dead and Outfitters. 6 months in, maybe not even full 6 months in, Tiny and I, we would vend at the same places. We would go to like Christian Toucan ran games for Nomad at Jackson Trail. Tiny wasn't a great businessman. He was a beautiful people person. Absolutely loved people. Loved making designs. He did the IFAC. He did all the patches for Doomsday. Loved all that kind of stuff. Not really a great businessman. And we sat down and talked about it, and I closed 19 Kilo Airsoft, came on over to Dead and Outfitters. We ran Dead and Outfitters together for 3 years. We ran it together, and we would rotate between Route 7 and Op 31. We were getting ready to open up the new store. Tiny had some stuff that he had to handle. We talked about it, and he decided that he was going to back away from Dead and Outfitters. That's when DEO became an actual physical store in Cape Coral, and we moved the field to St. James City. That was 3 years ago. Yeah, 3.5 years ago. And that was when you went in the Army.
Completely heartbreaking moment losing Op, and then the community just being fractured.
How did you guys lose Op?
When we took over Op, we were doing about 12 to 20 players per game day. Late 2020, 2021, we were averaging 85 to 100 players per game day. Ended up having to demo some of the area and put new parking in. We were getting cars that were parked all the way up out onto the street, and that opened up an area where there was a sound barrier, and you could now to the neighbor, which wasn't really a problem for us. It was more a problem for the people that would come there on Sundays shoot real steel. Neighbor complained, called the county. County came out and they were like, hey, are you operating business out here? I was like, yes, ma'am, I am. And here's my business documents. She goes, no, you're not. I was like, wait, what now? She's like, this is agricultural property. And I had no idea. None of us did. It got grandfathered over to us. Gentleman that actually owned the property. So come to find out, we can't do that. The long and short was it was going to cost $40,000 before we could even submit the request for a change in variance so that we could get actually converted and actually have a business. And to do that, it would have taken neighbors' permission. They would have had to agree and all that. If they disagreed, we would have lost $40,000. And I wasn't willing to do it. Dom said it was heartbreaking. Everybody who's been there loved the field. We still love the field. We've actually talked about making another field and putting that exact layout on that field because it was a perfect layout.
A legacy.
Legacy. Did the best we could with it. Moved it down to St. James City. Brought on Toucan, Christian Harris. He started writing and running the games till Ian.
Yep.
And then Ian put that field 12 feet underwater.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
I think the thing that makes Op so tragic has nothing to do with the size of the field, because altogether there's only, 7.5 acres playable, and then the rest was all parking?
Yeah, 10 acres altogether, 9.6 acres altogether.
Right. The thing that makes it so heartbreaking, aside from the fact that it's super target-rich environment, very small area to play on, there will probably never be another field like that, especially ran by you, because you had been in charge of it so long, and so many people have been brought up in Op.
Yeah.
That they were just good players. And honestly, Airsoft has its downfalls, Airsoft has its come up sometimes, but like the main thing about it is the people that play. You just had a different kind of player at Op. And even if they had heard something bad about it from a different field, or if they'd never played there, I'm hesitant to say, but I mean, screw it, like 9 times out of 10, if somebody came, they would always come back. And that's how we built our community. I mean, leaving and then coming back and it just not even being a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Like so fast.
Airsoft actually has abrupt, like sharp corners.
So fast.
We did the best we could with it. Tiny will always be a part of this. The logo is Tiny's design. The gear, the gotcha gear. This is a Tiny design. Tiny came up with the gotcha patch. That was his thing. We've had these things. We try to do things different than everybody else. The Savage patch. In order to get a Savage patch, you have to do something that has to be deemed savage. Like we gave Savage patch out. In the junkyard, if you did a hood slide and shot somebody mid-hood slide, that's a Savage patch.
But not even to just step on anybody. It's not a matter of who runs the best field, who has the best community. It's just doing what's right and what's proper and what's progressive, people and community-wise for Airsoft, because it is so volatile. Last thing I'll say about Op. so many people that are still around, and so many people that aren't around. That's where we got introduced to Airsoft at.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest thing.
And that was actually at a point. That was at a peak. The time when that happened is when Airsoft had this bottom, and like when we got in, it was on its way up.
Well, back then, DB8 used to be like the prime.
Oh yeah.
Like the prime field in Florida.
Yeah.
Like not even South Florida, but like Florida.
All of Florida, yeah.
All of Florida.
Back to Spaz, I give Spaz a lot of credit. He introduced us to this very well. He introduced the kids to it very well. So a lot of what we do, my safety brief has a lot of elements from him in it. We had dreams 12 years ago, 10 years ago, 8 years ago of what could be. And I will say that you said quite a bit that it doesn't work that way. 2 buildings and 3 fields, and here we are trying to do the best we can for the community constantly. That's really what it's been about, what it's always going to be about.
But D-Hop.
I knew he couldn't hold it for too long. That's a glass table. You want a kiss?
Stop complaining about people not calling their hits. 9 times out of 10, you ain't even hitting them. Buy a D-Hop.